Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.
Welcome to episode 33 of Talk Smart with
Pugh
and McCart. I'm Andrew McCart. That is young Joe Pugh over there. Joe, busy weekend for fights. We had two shows down in London, one at the Indigo, one at
Copperbox.
Copperbox,
Yes,
yeah.
mate.
So busy weekend. A lot of noise with the Buatsi and Yarde going on. A lot of noise with Tank and Ben. A lot of noise with Garcia and Haney. So there's a lot of talk about. But I think we should really take the first 5 minutes of this show to really delve in deep. Right, I really want to delve in deep with this because you were at the game today. You were at West Ham and Arsenal, and I
No.
really want to delve in really deep to this, right? And let's discuss West Ham Arsenal for the next 5 minutes.
No, I'll rage quit the Zoom call, mate. I'll rage quit the Zoom call. Yeah. Let's just say the boxing this weekend was a lot better than the football.
I'll just say 6-0 Arsenal. That's what we'll say, and we'll end it there. Yeah. Like I said, it was a busy weekend there, Joe, of fights. I think you were at the Copperbox last night, wasn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
mate. It was a really good weekend.
I tell you what, man, that Copperbox show. I was doing my thing. I was flicking through the fights last night from the Zone onto TNT and doing what I can while I'm just sitting there having a great Saturday night. And the takeaways I got from the Copperbox show was Sam Noakes, animal, absolute freak of nature. Sam Noakes. Hamza Shiraz, freak of nature. I mean, nobody does that to Liam Williams. Maybe Liam Williams is on his way out. Maybe he's a veteran of the sport now. Maybe Hamza Shiraz got him at the right time. But still, you can't take nothing away from Hamza Shiraz because nobody has done that to Liam Williams. Nobody. It was just an absolutely phenomenal performance, And then obviously Anthony Yarde and all the young guys coming through on the card. I mean, it seemed like it was a busy show, but a very, very exciting show at the same time.
Yeah, it was really exciting. Start off just going by the main fights because there was a lot of fights on the card, but kicked off with Masood Abdullah versus Kes Ashfaq. Absolutely phenomenal performance for Masood Abdullah, who's really kind of put himself on the map now after that win against Mark Leach, and now coming into it against Kes Ashfaq, and he is so confident and really badly wants the Nathaniel Collins fight. That he's calling for it for a long time now. So I'd love to see that fight for the British and Commonwealth title. So I think that has to be made. It's easy to make as well, both under the same banner. So Masood Abdullah, Nathaniel Collins, and then we'll go, as you said, Sam Noakes, mate. Lewis Sylvester, as a lot was spoken about in the build-up with he can dance and move, and he said, look, I will catch you, and he caught him to them body shots. Oh, my God. Unbelievable, but cool, calm, calculated, and that's where the best power comes. And he really did show that on Saturday night. Anthony Yarde done what Anthony Yarde does best. Perfect setup for the Buatsi fight. I know Buatsi was there. Hopefully we can get that. And then, as you say, Hamza Shiraz, just that jab. That jab is one of the best jabs in boxing right now. We didn't see much of it, because the fight only went around, which I was really, really shocked about. Liam Williams, he said in the build-up to this, look, I'm only 31, my punch resistance hasn't gone. Well, maybe we saw there that it might have started going now. But yeah, Liam Williams never been stopped apart from the Liam Smith fight, which was only on a cut. So he's never actually been knocked out. And Hamza done that. And now he's just absolutely kind of announced himself as one of the biggest he announced himself in that middleweight mix where you can be talking about the Eubanks. He said he'll take that British title fight against Nathan Haney if the fight makes sense. The Matchroom 5v5 against Amo Williams, that's an absolutely great fight if it can be made. But yeah, really, really good night of boxing. Some great prospects on there. Umar Khan, Tommy Fletcher, Junior Alois, Billy Adams, Charlie Hickford, Sam King, and Carol Atoma. I think that is all of them. But yeah, very entertaining fight and very, very entertaining fight night, really all round from Frank Warren.
The thing is, well, going on the Hamza Shiraz, right? I spoke to him maybe 4 weeks out from this fight. I think it was beginning of January over a Zoom call when he was out in America. And the fact that he took himself out to America, right? Now, that the gym culture and the sparring culture out in America is just different in the UK. I mean, there's no pleasantries really. There's not like, what's happening? Yeah, you have a good weekend. It's business. And they go in there, they trash talk, they hurt each other. And sometimes the culture in Britain, when you get like guys going from different gyms, I don't know, let's say Jamie Moore goes to Ben Davison, the fighters are friendly. Do you know what I mean? But the culture in America, well, what I've seen from my time, out there in 2021, 2019 and 2021, sorry, is the culture's different. When I was in watching Devin Haney spar, there was no pleasantries when the sparring partners came in. There was none of that. When I went to the top ranked gym and seen guys like Vasquez and all these guys spar, it's a totally different culture out there. And Hamza Shiraz is out there, took himself away from his comfort zone, away from London, all the way to the west coast of the US, and getting in with some of the toughest guys out there that they've got on that side of the United States. And fair play to him. And when you look at the middleweight division, right, Jamel Charlo was 166 in his last fight against Benavidez Jr. Says to me that he ain't getting down to 160 again. He's more likely going to try and get to 168, go up to super middleweight. You've got Yanabek Alam Kanuli, right? You've got him. You've got Amo Williams, who's ranked very highly as well. So that middleweight division is wide open. And obviously you've got Smith and Chris Eubank Jr. here in the UK. But whether he gets a shot at them too, that's yet to be seen. But for him to get a world title, I think he's in the right division right now, because that is blown wide open, that 160-pound division, in terms of getting a crack at a world title.
Yeah, completely agree. I think there's a few options you can go down. We know Queensbury have always had a great relationship with Top Rank, so that Yanabek fight could happen. Nathan Haney, obviously he's fighting Brad Pauls, and I know Nathan wants the huge fight at Stoke, and it could potentially be Shiraz. Or, as we said, Amo Williams, it does make sense, because as we've heard this week from Eddie Hearn especially, about how this 5v5 is going to be set out by Frank choosing two, Eddie choosing two, and His Excellency choosing the other one, I'm pretty certain Frank would want to choose Hamza Shiraz as his middleweight. Because he'll want to get that win.
I tell you what, Hamza Shiraz against Amo Williams is a great fight.
Great fight.
Shiraz
really good fight.
Shiraz can clearly bang. Look at his record. Amo Williams can clearly bang. Look at his record. Southpaw, Amo Williams as well. You know what I mean? So it's that is a fight that really excites me. I think that's for me. If I was Frank or Eddie, that's the one I would go for. That's probably top. That's up there along with Yarde, Callum Smith. But it looks like Yarde, Buatsi seems to be the fight that we're all clamoring for. And I guess we're going to talk about that in due course. But yeah, it's, again, that 5v5 is going to be very interesting when it does happen. I'm sure when we get on this podcast, we'll try and get somebody as a guest that's on that 5v5 to discuss it.
Yes, definitely.
That would definitely be a good shout. But should we do a segue over to the Indigo O2?
Yeah.
I don't know what you got to saw, because you had a busy day uploading. You've had a busy day watching West Ham today. I'm going to mention it again. You had a busy day watching West Ham against Arsenal. So I don't know what you saw of the Indigo show. But if you saw the Liam Dillon and Reece Bellotti fight, I tell you what, I think it was going to the 5th round when Williams Shiraz started, right? So I flipped right over to Shiraz Williams to have a quick look at see the fight. Knockdown for Shiraz. I thought, let me watch it. Watched it. End of the 1st round. I flicked it right back over to. So I hardly missed anything from the Bellotti fight. So in that sense, you know what I mean? I got to see the whole fight almost. And I tell you what a scrap that was. And what do I say every time I'm on this show about that British title?
Yeah. I thought of you, to be honest, mate. I thought of you when I watched it.
I always say that British. I don't know what it does to British fighters, but fighting for that British title just seems to bring out the best in every single fighter that fights for it. And we get the best out of them. We get the best performances. Liam Dillon is made of granite. I mean, Bellotti, some of them shots that Bellotti hit him with put 90% of his opponents down easily. And Dillon was just smiling back at him or giving him that grimace. Do you know what I mean? And we just kept him coming back. And fair play to him, because Darren Barker and was saying on comms as well that you're praising two people here. When Bellotti was landing this right uppercut left hook combo, you're praising him because he landed it sweet. But then you're also praising Dillon because Liam Dillon was just going shaking it off and coming forward.
Yeah.
It was just an amazing fight, and the fact that we got Buatsi Aziz last week as well. I mean, it just that British title. I love it. I love it. I don't class him as you know me. I'm a proud jock, but it's I don't know that just fighting for that title. Just I don't care what your name is. If I don't know who you are, right? I don't know you're fighting for that British title. I'm tuning in. It just
Yeah,
brings out the best. Like I said, I don't know what you saw of the fight, and if you did, what did you make of it?
yeah, no, I've watched all the highlights and I'm up to about round 5 because I wanted to rewatch it just because I've heard it and then I will see the highlights and it just looks absolutely a war and just I just love the first punch of the fight that was actually landed. It was like a sickening body shot from Reece Belotti and you just think he comes straight forward on the chest at Liam Dillon and it's just I'm just absolutely pleased for Reece Belotti though. If you thought 2 years ago that he'd be in this situation, headlining a card, albeit next gen, winning the British title, you would never have believed it. So he's built himself up. He's had some really, really good wins, and now he's got what he's always wanted—the British title. So yeah, absolutely well pleased for Reece Belotti. And undercard, did you catch the undercard of that one, mate?
I did, yeah. I got the full undercard, but I just want to say something. You said you're pleased for
Go
Reece
on.
Botti, and I just want to stay on that just for a quick second here, Joe. The fact that that man lost 3 back-to-back fights
Yeah.
in 2019, 2020, and 2021, and that 2-year span, he lost 3 fights back-to-back. He lost to Jordan Gill, then got stopped by Ray Savage, Ray Ford, who's fighting for a world title in the 3rd or 4th round, I believe it was. Right, so 3 back-to-back defeats. You're thinking as a fighter, and nowadays the culture of boxing nowadays, it's always that winner stays on. If you've got a loss on your record, you're right back down at the bottom of the snakes and ladders game that we call, like we say. And the fact that he managed in 4 fights to get back on that snakes and ladder board and kept on rolling that dice and kept on climbing them ladders, and he got right to the top and got that British title, like you said, that he wanted so badly after the Ryan Walsh fight loss. So very, very happy for him. And Liam Dillon as well, a scaffolder by day, fighter by night. He won the British title against Aqib Fiaz. So fair play to him as well. It takes 2 to dance. Fair play to both fighters. I caught the undercard, mate. Cameron Wong, great performance, showing glimpses of how spiteful he can be. You know what I mean? He if he really wanted to step on the gas and go into that 5th gear, I think he can do some very damage in that. But I think he's enjoying himself, his pro career so far. He's had 4 fights in 4 months. So I think he's more like, still kind of showboating, but you can see the spitefulness in him. He's got that about him. He's got that attitude about him. And I like it. And especially when Jordan Flynn got in that ring with him. I don't know if you saw that, Joe. Jordan Flynn got in and he shoved him. There was meant to be a head-to-head. Obviously, that got blown out of the water because of the pushing and shoving. And then Cameron Wong just exited stage left. Couldn't be bothered, really. But I tell you what a fight that is for only his 5th pro fight for Cameron Wong, such a young age against Jordan Flynn. I mean, wow.
Yeah, great fight. Really looking forward to that one. I think that's on the undercard of Gill and Barrett in Manchester. I like this. A little bit of spite, a little bit of tension between people who's young in their career. And you've got to kind of applaud them for taking the fight because they don't need to take the fight so early. And I'm sure whoever does lose that night will, like Reece Belotti, build himself back up and still have a great career. And I think he's starting to change. I feel like the tide is starting to turn and you're not defined by the losses on your record anymore. I think we're seeing it a bit more now. But yeah, Cameron Wong, I see what you mean. There's moments there when you can really see if he wants to flick the switch, I think he will turn a bit nasty. Boris Crichton, Craig Richards, I think was just a little bit too much for him, wasn't he, Andy?
Yeah, I think so. You got to give credit to both men. I mean, Craig Richards, 19 months out the ring, new training team in Shane McGuigan. But listen, you know me, Boris is a very, very good friend of mine. I've known Boris since the amateurs. He keeps on taking these fights. Listen, you've got to take these opportunities when they come. You have to. I understand that. But he took the Lyndon Arthur fight on like less than 48 hours notice. Do you know what I mean? And he took the Callum Simpson fight on a couple of weeks notice. Then he took this fight against Craig Richards on a week's notice, or a couple of weeks, just 10 days notice as well. So he keeps on taking these fights on very, very short notice. Or was the Cam Simpson fight? I can't quite remember. He took another fight anyway on short notice. But I think that if he had a good camp and he wasn't busy with his stuff outside of the gym and he's fully focused, Boris really can be a threat in the super middleweight division because he's fought at light heavyweight against Lyndon Arthur and Craig Richards. So I think that if he gave him a camp, build him up again. I think Ian Wilson with St Andrews Sporting Club up here in Scotland, they'll do that. He'll get another win on this record. He'll win another show up here. But I'll go give him a shout out, Boris, man. He's a tough man. Doesn't say no to anybody. When the call comes, he says yes. He stays ready. He's one of them fighters. He's the backbone of the sport because you need more fighters like Boris. Because Craig Richards needs a dance partner. Craig Richards went 12 rounds with Bivol in a close fight. Do you know what I mean? He wants to build momentum. He doesn't want a journeyman. He doesn't want somebody that's going to turtle up and just let him hit him for like 12 rounds. He wants somebody with ambition that's going to try and come. And tell you what, Boris hit him a couple of good shots as well. But Craig Richards is a very, very, very good fighter. And 19 months out of the ring with a new training team to do that to Boris Crichton. I mean, he is definitely a threat in that light heavyweight division as well. I mean, look at it. We're going to talk about Yarde and Buatsi. We just had Buatsi and Aziz last week. And then we're going to get the undisputed with Bertabiev and Bivol. I mean, that light heavyweight division is booming right now. And sprinkle a little bit of Callum Smith in there as well. I mean, right now it's on fire, and I cannot wait for Craig Richards to get another fight and get in the mix.
Yeah, that segues us perfectly onto these few fights that I think we're going to finish on by speaking about today. We'll start off with Buatsi and Anthony Yarde. Joshua Buatsi turns up to the Copperbox to see Anthony Yarde stop his opponent in 3 rounds. And over the past, 4 years, I think we've all known that domestically the light heavyweight division has been on fire, but we've only seen a few fights. We've seen Yarde and Arthur twice. We've now seen Buatsi Aziz only last week, and we see Buatsi Richards. But I feel like we could have seen a lot more, and hopefully now we're going to get the opportunity to see them. No matter what kind of little round robin it is, or who fighting who takes the opportunities, are there going to be vacant world titles in kind of by the end of the year? It could be, because if this June 1st fight happens, they may relinquish the titles, and then by the end of the year there could be some vacant titles. So you've got to position yourself well at the minute, but you've also got to take the big domestic fights. And Buatsi and Anthony Yarde has to be up there. It has to be up there as one of the most salivating fights from a British perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. We just got to look at what Aziz and Buatsi did for us in terms of putting on a performance and thrilling the fans, not just watching on TV, but the fans in the arena as well. Anthony Yarde, the way he fights as well, and the way Buatsi fights, I think they're going to gel quite well. I think they're both going to clock each other. They're both going to ring each other's bell. It's going to be one of them fights where it's just going to be who bites down on the gum shield the hardest and who wants it more. Do you know what I mean? It's a great fight for British boxing, and the fact that these cross promotions and cross networks, that they're working together now. They're starting to listen to the fans and boxing in general. If you want boxing to thrive and you want boxing to be the top sport in the world that it can be, because there's no sport has the drama that we have, like the knockdowns in 10 seconds to go, and you just go back to Lee Wood and Colin, that sort of drama that the big nights come. And obviously Joshua against Ruiz, that shock that happened that night. Do you know what I mean? It's just an Ngannou performance against Tyson Fury. No other sport gives you that moment. Do you know what I mean? When you put your hands on your head. And if you want the sport to thrive and be the best sport in the world, these promoters and networks, listen, you know now it can work if you just work together. You can all make money. Do you know what I mean? We've shown it now. And the fact that Buatsi showed up to the Copperbox, it's not his promotion, was ringside to witness it, went into the post-fight interview, says, listen, if I didn't want this fight, I would have stayed home. The fact that I've came to the Copperbox, I'm sitting right here beside Anthony Yarde, I've praised him. The fight's been marinating for 4 years. It's overcooked in my estimation. I think it should have happened already, but it hasn't. But we're getting it, and I think we will get it. And I think it's going to be a fight for one of the classics in between two British fighters, and I cannot wait for it.
Yeah, echo those words, and hopefully we do get it soon. Now, Andy, if I had said to you at the start of the year, name me 5 opponents that we think Conor Benn will be in with in 2024, would Gervonta Tank Davies have been in there? Come on, you got to be honest now.
Maybe not. I would have said quite a few British fighters. I probably would have said
It's a wild fight.
I-
It's a wild fight that could be happening.
listen, you know what? I like it, man. I really, really like it. I think the fact that Gervonta Davis, right, he's got a high knockout ratio, but I think he throws the least amount of punches of any active boxer in a round. I think his average is like, don't quote me on this, man, but 17 or 27. I can't quite remember. He throws 17 punches a round. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't really throw a lot of punches, but when he throws and he lands, you're snoring. Excuse me, I got a little bit of steak went down the back of my throat there. You're sleeping after that. Do you know what I mean? So Javon's one of them fighters that he downloads information. He lets you have a shot. You just look at the Leo Santa Cruz knockdown. Leo Santa Cruz threw a right hand, hit him with it. Threw a second one, he blocked it. And Gervonta Davis was like, throw it again, I dare you.
Throw it again.
Santa Cruz threw
Take
it again,
the
he
bait.
slipped, boom, came up with that uppercut. So he downloads that information and he's like, listen, and Conor Benn, okay, he's obviously he's going to be a lot bigger than Gervonta Davis. That's a given. But I think Gervonta, for him to maybe get pushed back and be bullied, it's going to be against somebody like Conor Benn. Conor Benn can whack. He's got speed. He's got punch selection. He's got variation on his shots, whether it's a lead hook, right uppercut, big right hand, 1-2. You know what I mean? Conor does have the variation in his shots to hurt somebody. And I like that fight, Joe. I don't know what you think, but I really, really like that fight.
It's very left field. I weren't expecting it. It took me a little bit by surprise. We know Conor's never back away from a fight, calls out everybody, as do they, because of Conor's name and everybody wants Conor's head, really. But when you do break it down, you look to far more experienced, far more accomplished, absolute elite operator, proven is Gervonta Davis. But when you put in the size and the style of Tank, because we know the power, can he carry that power up to 147? A big 147 now, because Conor's fought at 154, and I think for both of his comeback fights now. So, and don't forget, he's been preparing for the past 18 months for a 160 fighter in Chris Eubank Jr. So he's been taking heavy shots from heavier people than Davis. And if he can come through that and kind of disrespect his power, and it makes a really interesting fight. And weren't expecting it, but I will take it with both hands. And what a build-up it will be.
Definitely. And you after that Peter Dobson fight, was it last weekend? Yeah, it was last weekend. You go on Twitter and it seemed like everybody wanted a piece of Conor Benn. Errol Spence, Gervonta Davis, Josh Kelly, Michael McKinson. I'm probably missing somebody else, but maybe somebody else was giving it to Conor Benn. It seems like everybody wants a piece of Conor Benn. And well, listen, Ben's got the name. Do you know what I mean? Devin Haney as well. Devin Haney had a pop at him as well. So that was 5 fighters there at the top of their game, wanting a crack at Conor Benn. So Conor, if he keeps on winning this big fight after big fight after big fight after big fight after big fight, if he wants it, do you know what I mean? He doesn't have to look for nobody. It seems like they all want him. I mean, you just need to go on Twitter. But yeah, you said it was left field fight. Wouldn't have said this in the beginning of 2024 if this was going to happen. Eddie Hearn's made an 8-figure offer to Gervonta Davis between 10 and 15 million. I don't know what Gervonta Davis earns in terms of his purse going into his last couple of fights. I don't know what he's earned, but listen, you can't say no to that. Surely to France. It's a great fight for the fans. So yeah, it's one I'm looking forward to if it does happen. And like I said, these fights are getting made, Joe. So I'm confident it's going to get made. But a fight that we don't need to worry about being made is Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. I'm pretty sure you've seen the little shove and a pull, little push and a shove going on and all that, and Bill Haney getting involved. You know what? I like Devin Haney in the sense that he signed a promotional deal to go over to Australia twice to get a crack at those titles. Do you know what I mean? Then he fought Lomachenko. He was calling out Lomachenko. Whether he won that fight or didn't win the fight, do you know what I mean? That's another discussion. Then he went up to a weight to fight a monster in Regis Prograis. and Ryan Garcia now. You know what I mean? At least the kid wants to fight. Do you know what I mean? And he wants to make the big fights. So fair play to Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia, was he exposed by Gervonta Davis? Left hook heavy. When you just keep throwing that left hook, thinking it's going to land. Has he been exposed? Has he changed his game? I think he's working with Derek James now. Is that right? Is he still working with Derek James? I've not seen any.
I think he's still with Derek James. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so I don't know what Derek James has changed any of his game to set that left hook instead of leading with it, to bring it round off a 1-2 left hook or bring it off the right hand. And you know, it's intriguing to see what Ryan Garcia comes on April 12th, I believe it is. Man, my head's a bubble, man. I can't remember the dates. I think it's April 21st.
12th, 20th, I can't even remember. It's April. We're getting it.
It's April anyway. I'm right about the month. I know that for a fact. But yeah, it's interesting to see what Ryan Garcia turns up, because Devin Haney's going to go in this fight, the heavy favourite, I believe. But again, another fight that I'm looking forward to, and another fight that I can't wait to see. And if the boxing keeps doing this, we're going to have a great run going into the summer as well. So Joe, Garcia, Haney, what's your thoughts?
No, I love this fight. I really do, because, as you say, was Ryan Garcia exposed by Tank Davis, or is it the style and the power of Tank Davis? Because Tank and Haney are very, very different. And can Ryan cope with Haney's movement, Haney's style, in a more advanced way? We will be finding out very shortly. And I love the history there. 6 fights as amateurs. I think they've got 3 apiece. So best of 7. We got into the decider. And really, really good fight. And I like the spite between them. You always expect it with Bill Haney, where Devin's quite a cool, calm, collected guy. Bill brings it, which I love. Ryan Garcia is a global superstar. And I'm hoping, as Ryan Garcia and Tank did in April last year, it can reach the numbers and reach the pay-per-view and reach the eyeballs of the amount of fans as it did with this fight, because full respect to both guys. Ryan Garcia, he has his fight against Oscar Duarte, and then comes in and be like, yes, give me a pound-for-pound start. He's not taking any steps back. Absolutely love the mentality from Ryan Garcia. And absolutely nobody can question the resume of Devin Haney in such a small amount of time. He's really just come up. I remember when he signed with Matchroom, he come over to the UK. He got all the experience under his belt, then went and done his thing, become undisputed, now come back to Matchroom, went up in weight against Prograde, like you said, and now we're seeing a super fight. I think this will be a super fight by the time it comes around, so I absolutely can't wait for it.
Definitely. Well, Joel, it's a quiet week next week. We were meant to get the undisputed fight between Tyson and Usyk, but obviously Tyson suffering that cut in sparring. It's been pushed back to May. So you've got to wait 3 more months before you get to experience that fight night, mate. I'm gutted for you, but I'm not gutted for you, if that makes sense.
I get it, mate. I do get it, mate. Yeah. I think we're all gutted that it's a blank week next week, because I think no one was going to go against the undisputed, so there isn't much boxing next week. But I'm sure there will be some stories arising. Maybe Carl Froch and John Fury might go back at it, and we can talk about that next week.
Carl Froch,
there's certainly something going to be going on, mate.
I'm sure there will. I'm sure there'll be an announcement or something's going to happen. Listen, that's the good thing about the sport, Joe. There's never a dull day.
Never a dull day, mate, especially as a West Ham fan.
Well, listen,
so, I think
you keep your chin up.
Right?
You keep your chin up, young man, all right? Every dog has their day. Listen, David Moyes will pull it back. Don't you worry about that. Listen, enjoy the rest of your Sunday if you can. Don't worry about the result today. Monday morning's a new day. Remember that, okay? And as in, have you spoke to Coogan yet?
No, I've blocked him.
Listen, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Always a pleasure to speak to you, young man, and I'll catch up with you soon, mate.
Excellent. Cheers, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Wall Street Memes Casino
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.